This is The Sports Life.
23-17, Wisconsin. 4th and 8, Nebraska. Camp Randall is rocking. Ball at the Badgers' 23-yard line. 2 receivers left, 1 on the right. Armstrong in the shotgun. Makes the snap. 1 pump. Looks. He'll throw. Right side. End zone. Broken up. It's broken up. And the Badgers win it.
And welcome into the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler. A little tease for the upcoming Big Ten football season. As everybody's getting fired up, it's going to be a lot quicker than we all think. But we say that every year, don't we? Every year we say that.
And by the way, that clip from 2016, so that's 10 years away from the 26th season, which means we're 10 weeks away from the upcoming season as well.
Only you would know that, brother. Only you would know that. Well, in terms of today's show, as always, we have an interesting assortment of topics to talk about, and one of which is going to be the World Cup. Obviously, it's the big international sports item at the moment. And Zac Kelly, in 2024, the Big Ten Goaltender of the Year, is part of the turf group in this year's World Cup. And he will visit with us, and we'll talk about it.
That should be fascinating to see the Big Ten flavor in the world's biggest event. But also, we're going to be catching up with Bill Bender of the Sporting News, of course, a great friend of the program. We're going to talk a little bit about the Brendan Sorsby drama there at Texas Tech. Of course, now he's entered into the NFL supplemental draft. But interesting to observe the Big Ten's reaction in many other schools and leagues, how they handled that. But also with Bill Bender, he's put together a ranking of the best Big Ten quarterback rooms heading into the upcoming season. We got your football fix with Bill coming up in a little bit.
Well, in terms of the year 2016, that's the season we're saluting. So where do we start, Dalton?
Well, why don't we start with the Big Ten football champions, that being Penn State in 2016. How did they end up becoming the champs? Well, because they knocked off Ohio State with a blocked field goal with about 4.5 minutes left in the game when they were trailing. Let's let Steve Jones take the moment away from here.
Durbin's long this year is 40. It's a 41-yard attempt. Far hash, put down. Kick is up, it's blocked. On the turn, picked up by Haley. Haley in the 50, the 40, 30, 25, 20. Haley 10, 5. Touchdown, Penn State! Marcus Allen blocked it, and Grant Haley takes it to the house, and the Nittany Lions electrify Beaver Stadium and take the lead with 4:27 to go.
And they take the lead, and they win it, and they go on to win a piece of the Big Ten East. And I don't want a spoiler alert. We'll save the best for next.
Yeah, that's right, because Ohio State, who ends up playing in the college football playoff that year, they were ranked number 2 at the end of the regular season, and they played in what some had deemed as one of the best games that we had seen in this century, because in the game against Michigan, where the Wolverines came in ranked 3rd, you had number 2 Ohio State, number 3 Michigan. It went to double overtime, and really all the drama came down to a 4th in inches where Ohio State had to get it. Here's TV Voice's Chris Fowler in Kirk Herbstreit with Jim Harbaugh after.
And it's 4th and a half a yard.
Wolverines need a stop. Then all the misery head-to-head. Keeper. Hit! Right at the marker. The spot will decide it. It looks like it's a first down. It is. Ohio State stays alive, barely.
The officiating, I'm bitterly disappointed with the officiating today. That spot, the graphic displays the interference penalties. The one not called on us, on Grant Perry, clearly was being hooked before the ball got there. And the previous penalty they called on Delano Hill, the ball is uncatchable and by the receiver. See, I'm bitterly disappointed in the officiating. Can't make that any more clear. It was not. My view of the first down was it was that short.
So that's Michigan head football coach Jim Harbaugh feeling a little bit bitter about that spot. But that bitter feeling would cut even deeper as the very next play, Ohio State would end the game. And here's the voice of the Buckeyes, Paul Keels.
Samuel in the backfield with Barrett, who feeds it to Samuel. Sweeping left side, 10-5. Touchdown, Curtis Samuel. And the Buckeyes win it in overtime. A game that they trailed by 10 points. Double overtime. Curtis Samuel sweeps around the left side for the touchdown run to give Ohio State a 30-27 victory.
Well, big play for the Buckeyes in the big rival game against Michigan. And I remember my first reaction when I heard Coach Harbaugh complaining about the officiating, number one, we've all been around the Big Ten a long time, and one play, one spot really doesn't make a game win or lose. But the one thing I do know, if it gets tight and you're in the shoe, Ohio State's going to get the call. So you could say the same thing if you're in the big house. Michigan's going to get the call. That's just the way it is. So moral of the story, don't wait to the end. Maybe wrap it up earlier.
What a great moment in that rivalry. How dramatic that was. Something we still hang on to all these years later and certainly don't forget.
And the interesting thing about how the season played out, with that win by the Buckeyes, they tie Penn State for the lead in the East Division, but Penn State gets the tie break. They go on to play Wisconsin in the championship game, and they win it. But Ohio State was a team that got to go to the college football playoffs.
Well, now that the expansion is to 12 teams, they both would have made it.
They're both in, yes.
Well, let's take a look at one more football moment before we segue over to basketball. And let's go in the year 2016 to a classic of a finish between Iowa and Michigan. The final score ends up being 14-13 in this one. The Hawkeyes get the win, knocking off the Michigan Wolverines, who were ranked third at this time period. And it was shades of 1985. And you'll know why here in a moment, because 1985, Iowa and Michigan met in a number 1 versus number 2 matchup. The Hawkeyes were top ranked, and it came down to the very ending. A game-winning field goal kick through the uprights back in 1985. It led to a 12-10 win for the Hawkeyes. It gets referenced here by the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin, as we go to 2016's finish, ending on the foot of Hawkeye kicker Keith Duncan.
From the 23-yard line, it's a 33-yard kick. Tyler Kluver with a snap, the spot, the kick is on the way. It's good! It's good! Iowa wins 14-13. 14-13. Back to the future. 1985 revisited.
1985 revisited indeed. What a wonderful moment that was for Iowa Hawkeye fans. Now, our last sound of the week isn't going to be as nice or pleasant for the Iowa fans because this one happened in Iowa City, but getting the win over Iowa was the Indiana Hoosiers. This is in basketball on the hardwood floor, and at the end of the 2016 regular season, Indiana made the trip out to Iowa, got this win over the Iowa Hawkeyes to win a regular season title for the Big Ten, the last one that Indiana can claim, and it was the second of Tom Crean's. Here's the final moments from Iowa City with the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fisher.
Now they give it to Clements. He inbounds. Jack with a three-pointer from the corner. Missed it. That's the ball game. Indiana holds on, and the Hoosiers win it 81-78. What a victory for this Indiana basketball team, and they guarantee the Big Ten championship here tonight.
And with that win, that was Tom Crean's second Big Ten title as a head coach. But what was interesting as I was listening to that clip with Don calling it, he has to have some kind of all-time record for calling the most title games for one school on planet Earth. Back with more in just a moment.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit InsureKidsNow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. That's 800-948-6912.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor?
Yes, I am.
Yay.
My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Team here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, we talked Big Ten. That's why Bill Benner from the Sporting News columnist comes on to talk Big Ten. And Bill is joining us today, but before we talk Big Ten, we're going to go off-center just a little bit and do an end around how it gets back to the Big Ten. And first off, Bill, thanks for joining us. And we've asked Bill to talk a little bit about Brendan Sorsby. Now, he was almost a quarterback at Texas Tech. He found himself in a little bit of hot water with the NCAA because he had a gambling problem. And now he has decided, well, maybe college sports isn't for him, as he's going to head off to the NFL supplemental draft. But the point of all this is Texas Tech at one point was defending this. They wanted him to play, and the Big Ten had a crazy reaction to it. So with that kind of setup, Bill, can you bring us up to speed of, number one, why would a school defend a gambler, which that's always been taboo, and the Big Ten's reaction to maybe saying, we're not going to play a team like that?
Well, I think, it's in all the years I've covered college football at Sporting News, this was a rare occasion where everybody outside of Lubbock, Texas was kind of united in saying he shouldn't be playing. And why? And then you would see, well, guys have done this and guys have done this before. That, as you guys know, the gambling's kind of the cardinal rule of sports. Once you step on that field, you can't gamble on the games. Can't do anything to disrupt the integrity of the game. And you saw that phrase used a lot. I really believe it. But, there is an empathetic side to this for me. I think Brendan Sorsby's a 22-year-old kid, and they're going to make mistakes, and gambling is an addiction. Any family that's addiction, you want that person to get better and manage that. But I don't think managing it on a football field was the right call this year. There had to be a penalty.
Well, and one of the things I really find interesting about it is, we go through kind of the drama and the whole context of the Sorsby situation. But as Will mentioned, there was, and you mentioned as well, it felt like everybody outside of Lubbock, Texas, it's the one thing everybody seemed to agree on, that this was wrong. And the reaction from different institutions and conferences, I thought was really noticeable.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, well, here's why. So, like, I played it out. Let's say he would have played in week 3. And you guys know how the internet works now. And there would have been full detailed breakdowns about every snap, looking for just a hint of impropriety with his play. Why didn't he make this read? He must have money on the spread. The spreads and the prop bets would have been watched very closely. I talked to Dr. Jim Borchers, Big Ten's chief medical officer, a couple weeks ago. And we were talking about, this was before Sorsby, actually, the effect of prop bets on college student athletes. You can go win a game and then, he didn't rush for 72.5 yards and he's getting his inbox full of, people criticizing him. And I just think I am kind of in favor of a movement toward banning prop bets for college basketball players. I don't know how you enforce it, or college football players, but I don't know how you enforce it.
The thing that still amazes me, we've talked about how Lubbock was okay with this, but at the end of the day, if you're president of that university or the athletic director or even the head football coach, how can you possibly defend that, Bill?
Well, you know what? My theory, and I've had this bounced on, maybe they thought he wasn't going to win to begin with, right? Because how many people thought that a judge was actually going to rule in favor of Brendan Sorsby playing football this year? And so he does, and maybe you're caught a little bit thinking, oh man, we got to defend this. So how are we going to defend it? I think they defended it in the worst possible way. If I was Texas Tech PR, I kind of let play it out that way. Instead of doing a roundtable on, social media that everybody mocked, might have let it sit for a while. Let everybody get mad. Bring Brendan Sorsby out on a press conference, test that out, and then go from there. But I think the pressure, and like you said, at the end of the day, most of us who have watched this our whole lives, it wasn't going to sit well that Brendan Sorsby played. Now, in the NFL, I'm quick to point out, Jamison Williams, 6-game suspension, wasn't betting on his own team. Calvin Ridley got a year suspension, and was able to come back from that and play well. So it doesn't all have to be, Pete Rose, which I grew up in Ohio. So tell that story all the time, guys, that when you grew up in Ohio, you were taught to play baseball like Pete Rose. But nobody here denies that he was gambling on baseball. You can have thoughts on the Hall of Fame, and he is always going to be the all-time hits king, but he did gamble on his team, and he paid a very, very heavy price for it.
Well, Bill, I'll ask you this then, too, because you bring up a couple of NFL examples, and there are even more than that. But you have a couple of those names. You're talking about, in the NFL, 32 different franchises. When you extend it to college football, you're talking about 120-some programs that have rosters of 85 to 100 different players. We're talking about the pool of participants that are in college football is so large. And you just mentioned yourself, enforcing any of these gambling rules feels tricky. It feels like there's a bit of a tidal wave of this gambling being a problem that's going to continue to infect more than just this example and this incident, right? Like, it feels like we're on the brink of having a lot, maybe more of these kinds of stories, don't you think?
Yeah, I think there would have been more had he played. Now I'm wondering who tries to test it next. And they'll find somebody that maybe gambled on some games or hit a player prop, and how will they punish them? I'm hoping that the reaction that you saw nationwide from conferences, was, okay, they've got to be ineligible, and I hope that sticks for future examples. Hunter Decker's the Iowa State quarterback in 2022. You saw a lot of the comparisons there of Hunter, obviously didn't play. He's trying to catch on with the Saints now. So I hope there's a deterrent to it. There should be a deterrent to it. And it was as I said Monday in my column, I just think for once, and it's been a wild summer with some of this stuff, but for once common sense prevailed in college football, and Texas Tech doesn't have to like it, but, their reputation can be restored with a couple victories. We know how the sport works. That all gets forgotten if you win a little bit.
That is completely true. But, you know, one of the things I find fascinating, you say common sense rules the day. I think a lot of people can point to this, too, that the action really and the consequences were derived not from the NCAA, who continues to try to find the leg to stand on in terms of governing power with everything going on, but it felt like it was a collection of different institutions and leagues like the Big Ten saying, you know what, this is not right what's happening there. We're not going to share our ball with you. We're gonna jump in this pen with you. I think there's something really fascinating to the idea that college sports is beginning to start to govern itself.
Yeah, and for real. And, you know, I don't blame the NCAA here. There's nothing they could do. They got overruled by a district court judge ruling. And then within their bylaws, it rendered them a little bit powerless. But like you said, it became a little bit of policing yourself. So the Big 12, high marks for Brett Yormark here. The way that they handled that and kind of leaned on Texas Tech. It did remind me a little bit of the Michigan sign stealing scandal, where the Big Ten coaches and athletic directors voiced their concerns. And the Big Ten actually gave Michigan a punishment before the NCAA did, because they were, it takes so long for them to complete their investigations. So, yeah, proactive there for sure. Brett Yormark threaded the needle here perfectly. And, they're going to play all these games. That said, the cynical side of me when Sorsby was eligible said, man, would you imagine the TV numbers on week 3, Friday night, Fox, 8 p.m., when he was going to return against Houston at Lubbock, Texas? A lot of people would have watched that one for right or wrong.
Well, here's a hypothetical for you guys. You ready? So we have NIL, right, and we have people playing college football that have money in their pocket. So because they have this extra money in their pocket, does that make it more tempting for them to gamble because they got cash that they can burn?
For sure. I mean, yeah, that or spend it in other ways, and there's plenty of vices out there. So, yeah, I mean, it does make that possible. But, NFL rookies have that too. And I think the education out there on this is why you can't do it, because of the enterprise as a whole. The NFL takes care of those pretty quickly when it happens. I had made the comparison a couple times this week that I know professional wrestling, I know the physical toll it takes on the wrestlers' bodies and all that. At the end of the day, it is scripted entertainment, right? We can't let football get into that place.
Well, and Bill, besides the influx and maybe excess of cash of some of the young people at times, I think maybe the biggest issue or bigger factor to this is the accessibility. I mean, you have sports books now that are available in all 50 states. We've just seen a couple of campaigns launched out there from a couple of the sports books, but they're available on the tap of your phone. And if that is the case, and given the technology and the habits of everybody, that feels like the space where this really becomes a problem. And again, back to the question of enforcement, because we do all see how these dots get connected. How would you ever stop it?
Well, yeah, and that's the empathetic side of me is 18 to 22-year-olds are subjected to more gambling than ever. I mean, the apps, the commercials. I made the comparison to when I was growing up. You would flip through a Sporting News or a Sports Illustrated, and I don't want to get my company in trouble, but let's be honest, there were cigarette ads everywhere then, right? Like, it didn't mean you should smoke, but those ads were out there all the time. So I think that's the same thing here. And there is a touch of hypocrisy when, I appear on podcasts all the time. I have a podcast that is sponsored by FanDuel, like the website's sponsored by FanDuel. And, it's all out there. But I think it's just knowing the difference. Yeah, those exist, and they're going to make a ton of money. But I'm also not the starting quarterback for Texas Tech. So, it's a little bit different.
Well, here's one thing as a parting shot on this. We can go back to the 50s in college basketball and point shaving. Northwestern and academic hierarchy place point shaving in basketball. So gambling and this sort of thing has been with us our whole life. So maybe to Dalton's point, maybe there's no way to fix this. Maybe it's just what it is and you do the best you can.
mitigate the damage as much as possible. And like I said, the Sorsby thing, I think, should be a deterrent for athletes to gamble on their own game or gamble on big games. I actually, and this is maybe not a popular point of view, I don't really care if college student athletes bet on like pro football, or, you know, if they were watching the World Cup and they threw $20 down on whoever's playing today. Sorry, I've been kind of head down in college football.
Same.
But you know what I'm at. But when they get into college football and college basketball, maybe we make it they can't bet on college sports in any way, college athletics, you know, and maybe that evens it out a little bit.
Well, Bill, can you hang around a little bit? You had an article in Sporting News. You ranked the top quarterbacks in the Big Ten coming back. So if you would, could you stick around and we can talk about that?
Yeah, I was planning on it. Thank you.
There you go. Back with more of the Sports Life in just a moment.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little. But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto Owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. That's 800-562-2407. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Here's a real-life story that affects 50% of all of us out there. It's called divorce. If you've gotten divorced and now you're struggling to pay your bills and your credit card debts are completely out of control, you need to call this special debt relief hotline right now. We help people with all kinds of money problems caused by different life challenges, a divorce, a job loss, even heavy medical bills. All these life events can sometimes financially stress you out and cause you to get out of control. We help people get their lives back by showing them ways to consolidate and reduce their debt, in some cases for a fraction of what they owe. If your credit card balances are more than $10,000, call us and learn how to reduce your credit card bills and monthly payments now. Here's our number.
Paid for by Debt.com. Call now, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584. That's 800-810-1584.
Welcome back from Other Sports Life. Will Teeman here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, Bill Bender of the Sporting News is hanging around. Now we're going to shift our gears, talk about a piece of work he put in the Sporting News where he ranked the Big Ten quarterbacks 1 to 18. So I'll throw this out to both you guys. Do we start with number 1 or do we start with number 18? Or, Bill, do you just want to hop around?
We can do whatever you guys want. I mean, we can hop around a little bit and go from there.
Well, let's start with the top dog, the number one.
Number one?
For Big Ten quarterbacks, according to Bill Bender. This one felt pretty fair to me. And obviously you would agree, Bill, because it's your list. But Dante Moore of Oregon had a sensational year last year. That does feel like the top heading into this season.
See, I think, we rank the rooms, and I definitely think Oregon has the top quarterback room, too. That factors into that ranking where you have Dante Moore and Dylan Raiola, which you think, okay, they have 2 5-star guys in the same room. I mean, how can they mess that up? But yeah, Dante Moore had a great year, high NFL value, could have been, first-round pick this year. And I think, the thing with him, he throws a couple interceptions here and there. He had 10 last year. But I do like his poise. I go back to Penn State last year. I probably said that on here already, but he was so poised in that Penn State game in that environment, and that could have gone wrong. And I was very impressed by it. And I think he'll continue to grow that second year, in Dan Lanning's system, which, by the way, worked for him sitting a year, and maybe it'll work for Dylan Raiola as well.
Before we go any further, why do you think you're a starting quarterback in Nebraska? You're going to get better. You're going to play every snap. Why would you go to Oregon where you're probably going to be a backup?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Dante Moore did the same thing. Now, he was a kind of one-year starter, so he sits a year behind Dylan Gabriel. And you saw the results last year. The game looked a little slower for him. He played very well. So Dylan Raiola, it is interesting, though, because he was a top recruit at quarterback. He was number one on a couple sites. So for him to come out and play, it's a big deal. Again, it gives them depth. It gives him a reset. Remember, he did have a season-ending injury last year, so maybe that gives him some extra time to recover. But that was one of the more peculiar because, LSU and Miami and other schools appeared to be interested in Dylan Raiola at the time.
We talk about how great Oregon's room is. The next two are really stellar as well and kind of in the same breath. And I'm curious what you use to put one in front of the other. At number 2, you put in the Buckeye quarterback room. Of course, Julian Sayin, who we saw with 77% completion percentage last year to lead the country. But you also had USC at number 3, and quarterback Jaden Mayava, a lot of people have gotten pretty used to. Big Ten's leader at more than 3,700 passing yards last year. How did you decide between 2 and 3 here?
Well, I mean, Julian Sayin is probably been using this line all summer. He's the most undersold Heisman Trophy finalist I can remember. I know he throws to Jeremiah Smith and Brandon Ennis and Chris Henry Jr. this year. I get that, but 77%. I couldn't go outside and complete 8 to 10 passes to my kids. I mean, it's very hard to do. I would probably blame them, by the way. But Tavian St. Clair is behind him, and there's a lot of excitement about him. Tall, big quarterback that they're looking forward to when he gets his shot. So they have depth. And then Jaden Mayava, it's that Lincoln Riley, model. The quarterbacks are always productive. It's the defense that we always worry about with USC. It's rarely the quarterbacks. I think he's going to have a fantastic season.
Well, you've got Indiana at number 4, and they change quarterbacks every year. Doesn't seem to hurt them much, does it? So you like this new guy?
I think Josh Hoover, he'll have to cut down the turnovers. That got to him at TCU. But he's every bit as talented, at least coming in as Fernando was, or Curtis Rourke at the very least. So, the one thing that's worked out for these Indiana transfer quarterbacks is their efficiency goes up by an average of 40 points the last 2 seasons. So if we get that out of Hoover, he'll be in the mix for the Heisman Trophy.
It's interesting, too, because throughout this list, you start to see the mix and blend of returners and newcomers to Big Ten quarterbacking. At number 5, it's a returner who I think, you use the word undersold. In terms of Big Ten conversation, I think Damon Williams at Washington is somebody who really has maybe played better than what he gets credit for. He comes back, but also at number 7, if we jump down there, Michigan gets back Bryce Underwood, a highly heralded recruit coming in last year. Had some lumps as a freshman, but also had some bright spots. What do you think of these two?
Well, 5 through 8, really, right? Demond and then Rocco Becht and Underwood and then Nico Maliava at UCLA. Talent. Demond Williams, super talented. I didn't really, until you really dig into his numbers in his film, you're like, okay, this guy's better than I thought. So we may actually have him a little underranked, like you said. I think for Bryce Underwood, it's going to come down to the development. I don't know that the development was there last year. There are glimpses of flashes of brilliance with him. There certainly are. He's got a cannon, got a really live arm. One thing concerned with Michigan is who's catching the football. Their passing offense is very poor the last 2 years in general. So with a new offensive coordinator coming in, Jason Beck, you wonder how much that's going to change.
Bill, I do want to ask here, too, because, you went 5 through 8. At number 6, it's somebody new to the Big Ten, in Rocco Becht, who comes over from Iowa State with Matt Campbell. For any of the Big Ten listeners out there who maybe didn't catch a bunch of Cyclone football, what makes Rocco so good?
He's classic Big Ten quarterback. He started in 36 games, kind of that throwback guy, throws the ball down the field well, doesn't make a ton of mistakes, very high TD to INT ratio, gritty kind of, he'll remind you of, I'm trying to think of a really good Big Ten comparison of somebody. Not quite Kirk Cousins, not quite that good, but, that kind of mold of player that's going to do whatever it takes for his team, maybe more like a Connor Cook type, where he's going to do what it takes to win, make the plays to win. And I think he could have a very good season for Penn State, who has a very friendly Big Ten schedule.
Aiden Childs leaves Michigan State. Had good moments, had some other moments. Now he's a starting quarterback at Northwestern. He's not a very efficient quarterback. That's what the numbers tell you. What could change for him at Northwestern that could make him a quarterback, not just an athlete?
Well, he's got a good coaching staff around him because they bring in Jerry Neuheisel, who did good work with Nico last year. And I liked Nico, by the way. I know I mentioned him in passing. I think Nico could have a big year at UCLA with Chesney. But Childs has got to cut down on the turnovers. You guys watched him up close. You know the deal there. There's some talent there. But I think what the talent that he was coming in to Northwestern or at Michigan State versus what the output wasn't probably met that expectation. So, he gets Neuheisel, he gets Chip Kelly as a new offensive coordinator. That means he's going to make quick reads in the passing game and quick reads in the running game, and maybe he improves with that. But, certainly tied to the hip as somebody that you guys will be watching very closely this year, I'm sure.
Well, and it's interesting, too, because we talk about Aiden Childs there at Northwestern. This list has 3 different Spartan starting quarterbacks at one point, now at different schools. At number 11, Illinois, Caton Hauser. Number 14, just one above Aiden Childs, is the actual Spartan quarterback for this year, Alessio Milivojevic. I'm curious what you think of those other 2, since we've already talked about Childs. Why did they get a notch above Childs and what we've seen?
Well, Hauser played really well at Eastern Carolina. And that just slipped my mind that, he was at Michigan State too. The experience is there that he had a nice year there, and we're going to see what he can do with Illinois. 26 career starts, coming back to the Big Ten. Childs, obviously, that's probably the only reason. We have Michigan State ahead of Northwestern, and I think Milivojevic can have some success with Pat Fitzgerald and Cam Fancher. Obviously, that's a guy. Didn't they play against Michigan State a few years ago, and he was the starter for FAU? I feel like I was watching that game. Yeah, so he's got some mobility and a lot of experience and a lot of starts. So that just popped in my head. I remember sitting here on a Friday night watching that game.
I'm going to go to number 18. The Iowa Hawkeyes. You rate their quarterbacks last in the Big Ten, and it's just amazing. They play pretty good defense. They win games, but their offense doesn't seem to really get going. And Dalton's big on numbers. You'll love this number. Over the last handful of seasons, 31 TDs, 27 picks. No wonder they can't move the football. And so you would think, wouldn't you, that maybe they would try to elevate that, or is Iowa just going to try to beat you, 10-7?
Oh, their defense is amazing. And the running game's always solid. They produce excellent offensive linemen that go to the next level. That's why this is so confounding to me that with each year, the passing offense is getting worse. Like a decade ago, it wasn't this bad. Right. And they've had decent quarterbacks, guys like Ricky Stanzi, Brad Banks, Drew Tate. They were solid, but it's been poor. Even with Gronowski last year, the offense, I don't understand it. It's kind of a running joke with my friends, that have watched Big Ten football our whole lives, it's when it's 3rd and 5, you guys know that I was going to try to throw to the tight end, right? Like a little stick route. They've been doing that for 40 years, but since Marv Cook. But it is kind of embarrassing that their passing offense is that bad. So I think we'll see if one of those quarterbacks that they have can elevate that a little bit. But again, they'll find a way to get to 9 wins. They always do.
That is so true, too. Death, taxes, and 9 wins, Iowa football, no matter what. The last one I have for you, Bill, is actually just above that. At number 17, Rutgers has a new quarterback in Dylan Lonergan, and there was a night in September in East Lansing where I think a lot of people thought maybe Dylan Lonergan and Boston College would have a different kind of season, and a lot of people thought Dylan Lonergan might set some records the way he was playing before we knew what both those teams would end up being. Him and Piscataway, how does this work?
Live arm, baseball guy. So, yeah, he's got some arm strength there and a chance to play. And, it didn't work out with their last quarterback transfer. So I think he's the guy that could enjoy some moments of success. Not a deep quarterback room for them. And, he's a 2-time transfer, started his career at Alabama as well. So, the one thing, you mentioned that. He did have 3 games with 300-plus yards last year. So, you have a quarterback that can put up some numbers, and at Rutgers, you're going to be in a situation, let's be real, that in the second half, you're probably going to be trailing quite a bit. So he's going to put up those numbers, and he has to do it without making mistakes. But one of those intriguing first-year transfers, another guy we didn't mention, there, I didn't have him as high on the list, but I got a couple texts afterward. Some of my sources, they like Malik Washington a lot. They like that Maryland quarterback, think he's going to have a big year.
Well, Bill, as always, we appreciate you joining us, and it's going to be interesting to see how the quarterbacks play out. Will Iowa actually score more than 20 points a game? These are the things that we think about at night, and we're giving you ideas for your next column.
No problem. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys. Thanks so much for having me on. Take care.
You're welcome, Bill. Take care. As always, some interesting comments from Bill Bender from the Sporting News, his take on the quarterback play coming up in this year's 2026 Big Ten football season. Coming up next, we're going to talk some World Cup, but first, this time out.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
If you served honorably in our nation's armed forces and you're looking for a way to continue serving your fellow veterans in your community, then join AMVETS. AMVETS members volunteer millions of hours at VA healthcare facilities from coast to coast, helping to improve the lives of their fellow veterans through the VA Voluntary Services Program. AMVETS posts and departments also participate in a wide variety of community service projects. If you no longer wear the uniform today, you can still serve through the AMVETS by joining today at amvets.org.
You hear that? That's the sound of uncertainty lurking under your hood. You know the feeling. I know I do. That sudden sinking sensation when you see a check engine light or your car unexpectedly breaks down and you're faced with sky-high repair bills. It's time to shield against unexpected repairs with CarShield. CarShield is America's most trusted auto protection company and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Don't let the fear of a breakdown keep you up at night. Trust the Shield, CarShield, and say goodbye to terrifying repair bills and hello to peace of mind. Your plan also comes with 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, rental car options, and so much more. Don't wait till it's too late. Call CarShield now before a breakdown. Protect your wallet. Protect your car with CarShield. Get our best protection ever. Call now. You'll thank me later. 800-965-1292. 800-965-1292. That's 800-965-1292.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Did you receive a call or message that mentioned Social Security and demanded immediate action? Did the caller know your Social Security number or other personal information and tell you that your Social Security number had been used in connection with the crime? Did you feel worried that your Social Security number might be suspended, your bank account might be frozen or seized, or you could be arrested? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, demand your personal information, or instant payment, email or text you pictures or documents, or use a real government official's name to gain your trust. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Do not be fooled. Hang up. Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Team here along with Dalton Shetler. And don't forget, auto owners insurance, simple human sense. Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you. Well, one of the big sporting events going on right now worldwide is the World Cup. And involved in the World Cup, we have Big Ten representation. And one of the guys involved in the turf program, and that's a big part of this thing, is Zac Kelly. In 2024, Zac was the Big Ten Goaltender of the Year playing for Michigan State, and he is now part of the turf program and what is going on with the current World Cup. Well, Dalton had a chance to talk with Zac about the World Cup and turf and such things. That conversation happened in October of 2024, and here's how it went.
Zac, thank you so much for the time. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
We talk about, Zac, you're a fantastic goalkeeper, but none of the conversation we're about to have is really centered around that because you actually have a pretty unique opportunity. And just to explain to the listeners, the FIFA World Cup obviously is coming in 2026 here to the States and North America. Michigan State and the University of Tennessee are two institutions that have been selected to help make sure all the turf around the country and beyond is consistent. So you might be asking yourself, where does Zac Kelly fit into this? Zac Kelly fits in because he's a crop and soil science major, and he's a part of the program that's helping make sure all the turf is right when the FIFA World Cup comes to town. So I do want to start off, Zac, by just asking you, look, you're a soccer player. You grew up loving this game. I'm sure you've watched plenty of FIFA World Cups. To understand that your program and you indirectly were going to have a big hand in what happens with FIFA World Cup in 2026. The moment you found that out, what did you feel?
Yeah, for me, I thought it was a pretty cool experience and definitely a cool opportunity. For me, to be able to be a part of something bigger than me and the university is something special. It just goes to show that there's a lot that goes into it and like around the world. And that all the best players in the world are coming to the U.S. To play sport. And the World Cup on such a big stage, obviously. There's a lot of pressure, but it's a cool thing to be a part of and to see how many people go into it and what it's all about.
Well, and we talk about, again, with the FIFA World Cup, it's not just the biggest thing for soccer, it's the biggest sporting event in the world, and it gets to come here. I imagine, again, going and using the perspective of you probably as an 8-year-old, 10-year-old growing up watching the game and watching this event for so many years, to now be a part of it, that's got to be something cool for you personally.
Yeah, that's right. It's definitely cool because when you're younger, you watch on TV. And then now in college and the opportunity that I have to play a small part in it, it's cool to kind of be part of the building blocks for such a special event around the world that so many people watch either on TV or attend. And like these are these people's livelihoods that you have a small impact on. So that's a really cool thing to be a part of.
Well, and as we said, you get to be a part of it because you're a crop and soil science major. I don't hear that tossed around with too many athletes from whatever the sport is, but your crop and soil science major, what made you go into that? How does one find that that's what they're interested in?
Yeah, it's a very specific thing. Crop and soil science is a major, and then my concentration is turf grass management. And I worked on a golf course when I was younger in high school, and that's kind of how I found out I like studying grass. I liked being outside. I liked working with my hands, providing a product that people could play their sport that they loved on. That all started on golf courses. And then when I got to college, obviously being a student athlete and playing soccer, and then finding out the World Cup was coming to the United States, it was a cool opportunity to kind of blend the two things together, and then to now be able to study and learn and be a part of the research that's going on for the 2026 World Cup is a really cool experience.
Well, let's talk about some of that research in the process, because I hear that the turf needs to be consistent, and that makes sense. But I think me and many other listeners will say, okay, there's grass, there's turf. How complicated can it be? Even though I understand there's got to be something to it, help share with me what I'm missing out on. What are some of the details? What are the things that need to be right here?
Yeah, it's a pretty complicated thing. I guess the biggest thing is all the stadiums that have artificial turf are being ripped out, and the stadiums are physically being expanded to fit the dimensions of what FIFA is requiring. So to go from artificial grass to natural grass, and then you have dome stadiums that don't have the ability to open. So now you have to make grass grow inside with no natural light, and then also have the irrigation that needs to be spot on so that these conditions are perfect for these athletes. So there's a lot that goes into it, but that's like one of the biggest problems that we're working on solving right now. And not me personally, I'm just an undergraduate research assistant, but it's cool to be a part of the small piece of this large puzzle.
Who would have thought that grass could just be so complicated, so difficult? But you talk about making the switch to real grass. As an athlete who's gotten to play on, and I'm sure, a numerous amount of playing surfaces, what are the differences between grass, turf, and what would your preference be, and what are we about to see in the FIFA World Cup?
Yeah, I think you're going to see the highest level of natural turf that's available on the market right now, and that our science allows us to grow and to be able to manage properly. So it's a cool thing. And then being in college athletics, especially in the Big Ten, there's only one field that is artificial turf, and the rest of them are all natural grass, which is a really cool thing, because in the United States you don't have the opportunity to be able to play on very nice natural grass fields very often. So we grew up playing on artificial grass, and then when we get to college in these higher level programs, now you get to play on natural grass, and it's a treat, because I'd rather play on nice natural grass. It's better for your body, and then rather than playing on artificial turf, which makes a huge difference on your body and the injuries that I'm sure you've seen the studies for that support that. But it's a cool thing.
Absolutely it is. And you talked a lot about the research that you've done as part of this, and you mentioned that one of the steps right now going on with this process is ripping all the field out and putting in this grass. What are the other big hurdles right now that this process is going through for the FIFA World Cup for 2026? What is some of the big obstacles in the way that you've got to keep conquering?
I would say some of the big obstacles that the two universities are working on right now are lighting systems, so that you can get proper light in these stadiums, and then also different types of subsurface structures that you can get the same feel as a natural field would. So it's not just the grass on top. There's a subsurface structure below that allows for airflow and water to move through to infiltrate, but still get the same bounce or rebound effect as you would on a normal natural pitch. These are all temporary systems, so they're all eventually they're all coming in, and then they're all leaving at some point, right? So nothing's permanent about these. So that's the tricky part. That's the biggest hard part.
You mentioned that you're a researcher. Are you going to have the chance when the World Cup makes its way here in a couple of years to go bounce around to some of these venues and check out some of the work?
I sure hope so. I hope to have a little bit more prevalent hand in it, but I hope so.
Well, we're certainly excited for whatever that ends up being. We're excited to see the World Cup come here to the States, and excited for all your success. Zac Kelly, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So there you go, a little chat about the World Cup and how it all happens. When we come back, our parting shots in just a moment.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little? But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto Owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
Everything is expensive right now. Gas, food, you name it. You're spending more, you are making the same or less money. So, what do? You rack up credit card debt. That's what you do. It's not your fault. It's the economy. And guess what? If you rack up too much credit card debt like some of us, you can't pay your bills. Then the credit card companies, as nice as they are, start hounding you for money. Then you start your downward spiral. A smart thing for you to do is to call the Zero Debt. They can help you consolidate all your credit card bills into one affordable payment. Millions of people have done it. It works to make you debt-free. Make this free call right now. It costs you nothing to learn more.
800-298-9093. 800-298-9093. 800-298-9093. That's 800-298-9093.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. Learn more at wearebroadcasters.com/hope, furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player. No matter the challenges I face every day in the NFL, my mom is always there for me, despite her own struggles with muscular dystrophy. And MDA is there for my mom. At their 150 care centers across the U.S., MDA is the leading organization in research and care for kids and adults with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and related neuromuscular diseases. Join me and learn more at helpmda.org today. Thank you.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Teeman here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, good show this week. We've talked ethics. We've talked who the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten might be this year. And World Cup conversation is part of everything we're doing these days. And with that, we have now worked our way to the parting shots.
And we most certainly have. And by the way, if you missed any of that, make sure you give us a follow at Sports Life Now on Twitter or X. That's again at Sports Life Now. We'll have it all posted there for you. For my parting shot, I wanted to take a look at in Big Ten basketball. And look, we have some great coaches, don't we? We've talked about throughout the weeks during this summer about Big Ten men's basketball coaches, Tom Izzo, Matt Painter. Of course, you have the national champs from this past year. The women's side is loaded as well. And Corey Close, national champs from this last year with UCLA. But historically, you think about Vivian Stringer, you think about Lisa Bluter. There are some legends among us, and one of them resides in College Park, Maryland. That's Brenda Fries, who constantly has success there with the Terps. It's been announced that in her 25th season, Brenda Fries will be inducted into the Maryland Athletics Hall of Fame this fall. So a big congratulations to Brenda Fries and the Maryland family.
25 years?
Believe it or not.
It goes, man. It just flies. Well, my parting shot is a little different. I'm going to hone in on two words. One is rhetoric and one is resolution. Every day, it seems like in the world of college sports, we talk about NIL. We talk about no rules. We talk about things not being uniform. Rhetoric. But again, no resolution. So I'm beginning to wonder, is this going to be our norm? Is this way of operating the new norm? And someday we're just going to go, that's the way it is. We will find out. And with that, that's a wrap for this week's show. And we should also note that you can find us wherever you find your podcasts like SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple. And make sure to check us out and hit subscribe. As always, thanks to the Big Ten Network. The Sports Life is produced by Dalton Shetler. Our executive producer is Wendy Hart. So on behalf of Dalton, I'm Will Teeman, and thanks for your time.